Before we begin, just a quick disclaimer. You might encounter strong language. Oops. We also want to be clear that the things we say are our opinions and in should no way be taken as medical health or dietary advice. We also are aware that we have certain privileged experiences and therefore we are not able to be representative. And we don't even aim to be representative of all the things that people have lived and felt that we have not.
I'm fat and I won't let it define me. So,
I'm fat, but some days all I want to do is put on a face mask, eat some strawberries, and lounge in my bed. So,
Ooh.
same feel, man. Same feel.
I'm fat and my latest love is making dance reels. So,
yes, go for dance.
I'm like, I would also like to make dance reels, but afsos, my knees don't want me to. Also, apologies to our listeners. All the fancy people in our neighborhood seem really intent on driving past and honking today. So they've been honking the whole day. So there'll be lots of honking. We apologize, guys. Right, my turn. I'm fat, and it's a big part of my identity. So,
Right. I'm fat, but I'm not going to be a fat funny friend. Just here for your comic relief, okay? I'm my own character. So,
damn straight.
very nice. I'm fat and I seem to no longer need a man to have a buff body for me to be attracted to him. So,
yes.
Welcome to Fatso, the podcast where we talk about the joys and sorrows of being fat women in India. Heavy on the joy. I'm Ameya.
and I'm Pallavi, and today we're speaking with Srujan Penta. Definitely a different episode since it's the first time we're speaking to a man on the podcast. Welcome,
yes. Hi, thanks, Ameya and
Welcome.
Pallavi.
Welcome. So Srujan has been following us on Instagram for a while, and so we're really glad when he said yes when we asked him if he'd be willing to come and talk about his experiences. Because, like, obviously we can't talk about what it's like to be a fat man, right? So let me tell you a little bit about him. He's a research engineer by day and a digital creator by night. He describes himself as a panda of all trades, which I love because the panda is one of my favorite animals. A plus size
Yeah.
guy who's passionate about various things like food, dance, skincare, and makeup. And he tries to live his life by the notion of self love. He's going to share his experiences with being fat, with body positivity, with liberation, all of this stuff as we go through this episode.
So, we've had a really great time watching you, Srujan, on your Instagram handle, Panda for Trades. And people has been a very staunch supporter through our previous two
Yes.
seasons. We've heard a lot from him and we've loved it. And when we thought of having a male voice on the podcast, we actually thought of him first. So
Oh my
we're
god.
really glad that you're here.
Thanks a lot. Actually, I've been fanboying since a long time, but now listening all these things still make me, more, I have butterflies. But thanks a lot. Like, I'm being really, really honest. So whatever journey I'm going to talk today and whatever it is, Fatso podcast is a major, major part of it. And I'm really, really grateful to Ameya and Pallavi for, doing this podcast and many girls and guys as well in India who can relate to it and have a shared experience. So I'm really, really thankful that I'm here today and hope I can share my narrative.
Yay! So happy to have you. Also, we should think about changing our tagline now for this season and make it fat people. Full stop.
So yeah. So
Okay, so Srujan, let's jump in. Tell me
right.
tell us about your experience of being fat. Like, I'm sure you've had to deal with fat phobia. So, what was it like? So we can see how it's different from the way that we as women have
Right.
dealt with it.
Right. So I remember this. So whenever the episode starts, right, you say that let's talk. So we are let's talk about the highs and lows of being fat women in India. So when I started listening to the podcast, I was like, okay, is this it? Will it be a right podcast for me? Because my experiences might. But I'm so surprised, like how many experience we do share similarly, like, and how relevant it is, for even men. But of course, as Ameya was saying, it's also different, right? So I would say majorly, like, the major effect of being uh, a victim of fat phobia is how it manifests in almost every aspect of our life, right? For example, one big thing that I have noticed is, uh, so as a kid, we can do anything, right? We do so many things. So that was my like free period. Although there were remarks about them, my parents were like, they used to protect me from those. But when I
Mm.
started secondary school, right?
Mm.
That's when you actually try to understand. Even my parents, because of the relatives and stuff, they start, making more remarks, right? No, you
Mm.
have to do this, you have to do this. And when I don't listen to them, it of course goes to body shaming. It's what
Yeah.
happens. Yeah. And it continued for a while, my secondary education and my college of first 2 years, right? So this is what happened. And there are so many differences. I'll explain some instances. But then I came across the concept of, as cheesy as it sounds, self-love, self-care, right? So I didn't know, I'm being very honest, I didn't know about the fat liberation movement that much at that point of time, or even body positivity. Um, but self love was the first entry point for me. So I'll give a small example. So as a kid, so since uh, clothing is a big part of being fat people in India or anywhere as
Oh
well.
yeah.
Uh, yeah. So as a kid, so uh, I am from Hyderabad. I speak Telugu, and so
Hey,
oh
sorry, I have to interrupt. I
yeah.
grew up in Hyderabad and my parents still live there. And I
Oh
still
my
go.
God, seriously. But you don't speak Telugu, right?
No, I don't.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Okay.
I
Oh,
mean,
that's
just
amazing to know.
survival. Like,
Yeah.
Akkadku right, Elalandi and stuff like that. Like super basic survival stuff. Sorry,
So,
sorry. You were saying.
if you have seen like these Tollywood movies of that time when I was kid,
Yes.
like 2000s, so the heroes, like the actors, used to wear these shirts in movies that were having sequins, floral prints,
I know. So gorgeous, so camp. I
they
just
were
loved it.
so, yeah, they were so over the top, and I loved them. So, and when I go to the store, of course I won't find them, but I won't even find something that is even looking normal. I'll find the gray black ones in my color. you know there was no way to feel good about what I was wearing. So
Yeah.
but my parents, as I told, when I was really a kid, they were supportive. Like, I guess they just loved having a kid. So they took me to a tailor. I used to get those, you know, cloth, shirt cloths with
Mm.
floral prints or sequins, and I used to dress like that, and I loved it. Even though once in a while when I go to tailor, he while checking the measurements, he makes these comments: "You're a kid, you should lose weight, or else you won't. In the future, nothing will happen." Stuff like that. But then all of this changed when as I told, in my secondary education, people started bullying because now, you have media, you are seeing, movies where fat people are ridiculed and are just there for comic relief. So I, I didn't want to put myself. So already I'll be ridiculed for being fat. So I was thinking, why should I even be ridiculed for my clothes? Okay,
Mm.
let's dial down. Let's
Mm.
blend into the background. Let's
Ouch.
wear muted clothes. Let me
Mm.
wear grays. Let me wear track pants, stuff like that. And then so I'll tell you in this media thing, right? So there's a really fun, peppy Telugu song. I know you guys don't know Telugu, and many of our listeners don't know. I'll translate it for you. I'm not a singer, please mind me. So it's like a very peppy song. So it goes like bum chiki bum chayi baga, untiki yoga manchidega. Means let's do yoga. It's really good for our body. That's the first line. Second line immediately goes నాజూగ్గా ఉండు తీగలాగా అసహ్యంగా ఎందుకు లావుగా Means let's be slim like a, like a wire. Why should we be disgustingly fat? This is a true translation,
Hi,
literal
hi.
true translation, guys. So these are inculcated in our brains, right?
Mm.
And I totally agree from the 2 seasons of Fatso podcast and seeing my mom, my sister, and my best friend Sadhna, who are all on their, like heavier side. The the lens through which women go through of fat phobia is very, very, very high. I do agree when compared to myself, but it manifests in different ways. I
Mm.
do I want to mention that. So for me, it was like I cannot express myself. Although I'll be bullied,
Mm.
what can I do from my side? Okay, wait. So if I study well, and if I pay attention in class, so this was in college. Okay, maybe then. So Ameya keeps talking about this in the podcast, and I relate to it a lot. So like, oh, maybe they won't talk with me if I don't, maybe it's whatever reason they do something, we link it to us being fat,
Yeah.
right? So like maybe if I was like, okay, now I came to college and I don't want to be ridiculed for being fat. Okay, what, let me study well so that people can at least if they have problems in their studies, they'll come to me and they'll talk to me. Something like of a coping mechanism. Although I loved studying,
Yeah.
so you just wanted to be known as a studious guy, right, in the class.
Not the fat guy.
Yes, exactly. Like in
Yeah.
the entry you told, I am fat, and it's a big part of my identity. So to reach to that point in my life, it took a lot of time. So I just want to be, please God, even if it's me being a nerd, it's fine. I'll be a nerd, but I don't want to be known as a fat guy. But in reality, and like all humans, I'm a social person. I want to talk with everyone. I want to, wear, like now I'm wearing this, um, tropical print that reminds you of beaches and pina coladas. I want to wear that,
It's
and
awesome.
thank
This
you.
It
print
is.
is awesome. It's palm trees or bamboos or what? I don't know, but I love it.
It's like palm leaves and stuff.
And
So I
lovely
just want
colors.
to, thank you. I love pastels. So I just want to wear these and I just want to talk with you. I just don't want to be a nerd. Yes, I love studying, but that's not who I am only. So I want to do that. But all this, as Amia's question was, so this was my fat phobia period, right? But when I got to know self-love and stuff, so I'm not sure if you guys are like into drag queens, drag race. So
I've tried to watch Drag Race a few times, but it's too much for me. But I do love what the drag
the
movement stands for.
right. So yeah. So when I got to know about it, so this was all my struggling period. So and it's not like, of course, a one-day transition. It took time. But one thing that really helped me was when I watched these drag queens, right, and the drag race. Of course, I don't, uh, you know, uh, all of the things that happen on the drag race. I don't support most of them, but the movement that it stands for, and especially one thing at the end of the show, every time the host used to say, RuPaul, to say, how in the hell you're gonna love somebody else when you don't love yourself? I think I rephrased it wrongly. So it means, how are you going to love somebody when you don't love yourself?
It's so
So
true.
Yeah.
yeah, so that whole thing, and I tried to research about it and got to know what self love is, self care is. But one takeaway point I took from it is, you don't need to fit in.
Mm.
you know Even if you want to fit in, if you are trying to fit in, that shouldn't come at the cost of your mental and physical well-being.
Mm.
One thing that was like that, or like one major thing was, I love wearing, I told, bold clothing, flamboyant clothing, or I loved my skincare and makeup since as I was a kid. But this whole period made me like, you know move away, move away, move away. I don't need an added layer of bullying. Okay, I'm fat.
Yeah.
Motu bulao mujhe, अरे oh, Srujan came, earthquake came. these type of
Oh
jokes.
God, so
Uh,
many times.
yeah,
Did they call you Yokozuna? Because I used to get called Yokozuna all the fucking
no,
time.
yeah, I
I
heard
think
that. Yeah,
Okay, but maybe there's an age difference here. So WWF, maybe there's more things people were watching by
yeah.
the time you were in school.
Yeah, these are like almost I became numb to those, so along with that, I don't want to be called so many different names, right? For Because I know the gender stereotypes that exist in the community, in our society, so I don't want an added layer of bullying. But then I was like, no. So even there was a point. So lived in a hostel when I was studying with Spilani. So uh, so when I had to put on a face mask or something initially, I used to do it so secretly. When everyone slept, I used to put on a face mask. It's just a face mask. But
Yeah.
still, at that time, it was like that. And in the night, when all the lights are off, I used to go because it's common toilets, right? Common washroom. So you go and wash and quickly come back. That was the scene. But now, it's not like that. I realize that it's for myself. I want to take care of my skin. I want to, do things that I feel good. And if I'm not going to fit in, it's okay. And I'll tell you, it's not like very simple. Like I was this zero, I became one. There are like
Yeah.
ups and downs. Even after becoming one, you go to like a -100 sometimes.
Yeah.
so, it is just one example. Like, and I remember Pallavi used the word self work. When I got to know about the podcast, I started to do that as well, like something from my side. And one more, thing that in that way, which I thought was, so when I told you I wanted to be a nerd guy, right?
Hmm.
So when if someone used to come to me before an exam and ask me, can you explain this? So it's not close friends, obviously. Close friends, you tell them because they are always with you. You explain, but random stranger comes and feels like he or she can take your time, and you feel at that moment if you don't answer them, even though you have so much work pending and you have an exam tomorrow, you take your time and explain them why you want a validation from a stranger, and you don't
Yeah.
want them just to remember you as a fat guy
Yeah.
in the electronics class. You don't want to be remembered. You want to remember, oh, okay, that guy at least helped me with that sum or with that
Yeah.
problem. But now, after that, when I was in my junior year and senior year, it was not like that. When I wanted to help someone, I did. There are so many times I helped so many people, but it didn't come at the cost of myself. You know
You said
that.
more power to you figuring that out so early, because I figured that out in 2013 when I was like, how old was I in 2013? I was 31 years old when I finally realized that
Wow.
I'm allowed to say no.
Right. Yeah.
I don't have to keep everyone in my life. I don't have to do
Correct.
what they want. And I don't, and what I only learned in 2020, that I don't have to chase after people to make time for me. Yes.
Right. See,
I'll be
so
okay.
yeah, we listen these things, right? Like you can say no, keep yourself first. But as like Pallavi keeps saying, you need to understand those emotions. You need to train them to actually
Mm,
keep it, um, uh, to let it actually come out, right?
yeah.
So it actually really helped me because in the starting, as I was saying, like, I just don't want to be a fat funny friend. It's actually from a true experience. In the starting, if someone made fat jokes and stuff, you be silent. You just feel if you say something, might be the friend circle that you have, they'll hate you for not being, and you'll be silent, and that trauma keeps on increasing. But later on, if someone said, at least not harshly, but I used to give them a comeback, hey,
Mm,
no, you know even at least after the other friends disperse. So it was a learning. Now I just say, no, no, you can't say that. But at that time I was like, after everyone left, I used to talk with them personally. See, you
yeah.
said this and I really didn't like it, and I've been through a lot of these. And we are talking here, uh, really educated people. It's not
Yeah.
like kids. You know, we are in a premier institute of
Very
India.
privileged people who come from
Yeah,
lots of studying and background and all, no?
exactly.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm blessed to have a really good friend circle. And one big, like you guys talk about the importance of community, right? Like Ameya keeps saying, like I had whole journey because of community. But when I met Pallavi and we started doing this work, I learned a lot, and I improved a lot. So for me also, my close friends and my family started to understand me. They
Mm.
thought, hey, okay, so if we are so my family especially, before they used to think, if I don't do stuff, if they use scathing remarks or harsh remarks because I'm an emotional person, they all know that, they thought maybe I'll put in the work, I'll go to the
Mm.
gym, or I'll starve. But they realize that it will actually result in the opposite. I'll start binge eating. I I I'll
Awesome.
start binge eating. I will, late night I'll be there. I won't move my body. you know so they understood. So before, they used to like, hey, see your hand, how big it is, it looks ugly in the pictures. And especially some of my family members, before, they used to say like, hey, you have to lose weight, Ray, need to lose weight, you can't go anywhere in your life. This is common thing. But now, after training them, like, we sometimes feel, why
I
should I
love
train
that.
them, why should we train them? But they're family, right? They have some investment in us.
No,
Now
also
there's
they've been pre-trained by society.
exactly. So,
So
like, for
somebody has to
example,
retrain them. Otherwise, they will
correct,
continue with the old training.
exactly.
You have
My
to upgrade
parents,
the software. You have to.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
actually unlearning versus training.
Yeah.
You're making them
exactly.
unlearn the conditioning of society and see you as a person
Yeah,
instead of someone they need to control and fit into a mold.
right. And especially imagine, these are like, my parents are, and my relatives are like 60, 55-year olds who
Mm.
have grown in a very, very conservative South Indian parts that are deeply, deeply, like, the roots have gone inside. The roots of
Mm.
patriarchy are like so inside that, why I say patriarchy is, here, it indirectly results, when of course the women are the prime target, but whenever you see a man as well who is fat, it results, there is this cycle that goes, okay, women should never be fat, they should, confine to our image. At the same time, if you are not confining to the image of men, you will be thrown in the margins like the women,
Yeah.
right?
You know,
Yeah.
you don't ever have to explain blaming the patriarchy, at least to me. Pallavi maybe a little bit, but with me, you want to blame capitalism and the patriarchy, I'll say yes.
Yeah.
And you make an excellent point there about how the problem with patriarchy is it has expectations of men, and in some ways it works in your favor when it comes to being fat because expectations of men are not so strongly rooted in how
Exactly.
you look, except when it comes to baldness and height. But
Yeah.
the other side of it is today the world is changing. Men are more groomed, men are more fitness
Right.
obsessed. So there is this whole idea of, the broad shoulders, narrow waist, tight ass, all that stuff that
Abs.
comes abs. Oh God,
Yeah.
abs ki matlab, haan. So like all of this shit is very much a part of the way we see men
Right.
today as well. And so it is pushing more over
Correct.
there. Right, P?
Absolutely.
But I think that was a very interesting point you made, Srujan. And actually, I'm a bit distracted because of that one line you said,
Yeah,
which
sure.
is that if you are not fitting the image of a man, you will be relegated to the sidelines like women. I
Yes.
mean, that's just it's that's a very big thing to say. And
Mm.
w- what does that mean
Okay.
for you? What does
Yeah.
that mean to be relegated to the sidelines like women? What is
Mm.
that difference?
Right, right, right. So when I say this, one thing I want to talk about is like, uh, so there is this image of a man, right? As Ameya was saying, broad shoulders, narrow. So, but when you don't fit into it, and you're fat, but you talk about, being body positive, or that it's okay. Basically, you're living like a fat guy, meaning, and you're not trying, like, to get a bariatric surgery or something. That means you are living in a fat body. It indirectly means, hey, why are you not trying to be a man? You're less of a man. you know and one big thing is when we say about this, like you like your body, you love your body, that self love, self care is seen something like a, a motherly feminine thing. So you're told immediately, so this feminine masculine, again, it's what these are all constructs, right? These are all made by some elite white people long ago. So uh, elite white heterosexual people long ago. So,
Hmm.
and I should add even men. Sorry. Yeah. So these are all made by those cis head white elite rich men, upper class men. So these all constructs we try to conform to them, and whenever you don't conform, you go to the margins. You become marginalized. So, for example, I will tell you when I started talking about self love, being body positive and stuff like that, people told, अरे ये क्या कर रहा है, मतलब what are you doing यार, मतलब लड़कियों की तरह क्यों बात कर रहा है, loving your body and stuff. So this is what I mean when I say you are, thrown, on the sidelines like women. But of course, the demands or the exacting remarks that women get for being fat is not same as men. I do agree with that, because we still have that, as a patriarchy in place, so we don't have that many demands. Like we don't need to conform much. But whenever you openly support it, or you openly talk about it, they're like, "Nahi, you're." That is the concept of toxic masculinity, right? uh, you have an image and you have to be conform to that image, that macho image, rug, low beard, everything. And if you don't conform to it,
Beard is there, very rugged
yeah.
beard.
Thank
But
you.
it's really that power dynamic that you're talking about
Hmm.
there, right? That when
Right,
you are not conforming to that man, we'll call you a woman, and in that framework, a woman means you are less, which means we won't
right,
give you prestige, we won't give you status, we won't give you recognition, and we won't give you power. Like as the
right,
circle, it
exact,
strips it away, and
right,
it is pretty fucking problematic. Ooh,
right.
first swear this episode.
I
But
was wondering why
uh,
Ameya didn't swear till now.
I'm still feeling curious, Srujan. Do you feel removed from the decision making, or how has it impacted you at work?
Right,
Actually, I want to know the flip side of it. How has been the fact that you are someone who owns their body and does
right.
not conform to being the good fatty anymore,
Hmm.
to listening to what they're trying to say? How has that impacted you in spaces like work or
Right.
even in your own family?
Right, correct. So yeah, I think Pallavi was asking the same. You were asking, right, the before question also. I think all was fine when I was like confirming. Like even if I was a fat guy, but I was silent, wearing these muted clothes and stuff, I wasn't put much to the judgment of people. But when I started to actually talking about it, or embracing myself, being confident, and saying like, "Hey, you cannot make this remark about me," I was immediately like what Ameya was saying, putting us on a pedestal and saying, no, 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 no. Sorry, not putting us on a pedestal. You need to you know, go to the margins. You won't get any respect. And I think Pallavi is asking the same question. For example, in work, right? So this is I don't know if I can say this, but so on normal days, I, wear fun clothes, nice fun clothes, and I take my tote bag and stuff. It has
Oh.
like all plushies and stuff, and I'm like that. But on a day that I have a meeting that I need to immediately go, or when I do need to do a presentation, um, see, although we don't have any dress code in our at our workplace, but when I have that, immediately inside, I get this thing, oh, wait, if I wear those clothes, they won't take me seriously. Or, they might not, hear to me. Okay, let's not put much of foundation or makeup. Okay, today I'll go simple. Maybe, they'll give me some kind of this, respect. That is what internally goes in. So when you're outspoken about something, or when you're being very confident about something, I think in guys, uh, then you become a subject of discussion. But in women, you either, I think, in my opinion, because I've seen my sister and my mom in, family and stuff, even they don't talk about it. And if they are not even like, they are not obese at all, they have, like, even with a small amount of thing, they get so many comments, remarks. But I think in guys, whenever you talk about it openly, I think you're definitely, you will be questioned, because you're being confident, right? And the whole system that has created doesn't want someone who doesn't fit into the, thin versus fat, and but still being confident, you will be questioned. I think, I hope I answered Pallavi.
Sort of. It's actually brought up more questions, I have to admit,
Go
than
on.
anyone
That's
can
the whole
answer.
point. Ask
Yeah,
more questions.
it's just really
Yes.
interesting because I think as women, you sort of grow up knowing that you have a certain place. At least for me, given my family, I did grow up feeling that I had a certain place, and I knew what to do to be a good woman, so to speak. And my main issue was the fact that I wasn't good enough because I didn't lose the weight, you know. Also, of course, because of my education, exposure, etc., I learned that no, I don't need to be a good woman per se. I don't
Hmm.
need to fit into those stereotypes either. But I still have a very large part of me is quite feminine and is quite okay with certain, leaning back or being assertive but not aggressive or so on and
Right.
so forth. And I think what you brought up made it really interesting because just that statement has hit me quite hard, and not in a bad way necessarily, but just in a way that has made me very curious that
Hmm.
if you don't conform as a man, you will be relegated to a woman. So I'm trying to understand what exactly does that mean to you?
Oh, yeah.
What does it
So,
mean to be relegated to
right.
the sidelines like a woman? What changes?
Yeah. So here, when I say this, in no way it means like the women are like secondary or something. It definitely means the questions that all the women, or the remarks that all the women, even with, different from the, eurocentric beauty standards, like whenever you don't conform to them, the different judgment that they get in general in life entirely, a guy gets only when they are like really open about it, and being really confident about it. That's what I think. Like I was saying, right, like a fat funny friend, right? So there they wear, like, you see many American Hollywood movies where they just wear, like, sweatshirts and like hoodies, and they make just fun, and they're in the background. That's all chill. You will not find. But did you see any time a fat main character, a guy? Very rarely, right? So that is what I mean to say. Like, yeah,
Also, I feel like, what you described about how you were scared of how to dress when you go to a meeting or something like that. That is very much a woman's experience in the workplace. It's
Yeah.
always this fear of, will I be taken seriously if I dress like this? Sort of my. You
right,
have also told me a couple of times. I think it's come up about, is my makeup too bright or something like that. If
Yeah.
I have a serious taken seriously, will you be taken seriously? Which, of
right,
course,
Yeah.
in the patriarchal masculine sphere is about offering you, recognizing prestige and status and power
right,
in you, right? So that
correct.
that does kind of make sense to me. Oh god, we have a cat. uh so
Yeah, I mean, in the workplace, I found it, and no offense, I mean, but I found that a lot of women manify themselves. Sorry, I know it's not a term, but I'm just, to be
Right,
taken seriously. And that was just something that I
correct.
was never willing to do because I would wear my bright eyeliner and my bright lipstick and my stiletto heels and my fun salwar
Right.
kameezes and saris and still go for a presentation. But
That's amazing.
there would be people who would prefer the slimmer person who did not know anything about the subject because it wasn't their job
Right.
to ask the question versus addressing that question to me. I mean, there have been times when the person who was my vendor would be asked those questions, or, who would take on the presentation just because I wasn't getting the attention or the, sort of seriousness that was required. So that is interesting. I think what I was coming from was, in your family, is there a difference in the decision making process? I mean, if your dad usually would involve you in the decision making process, would he not? Is your sister involved in the same decision making processes? Is that different? But maybe these are too personal, and I don't mean to, it's just,
Right.
I think that's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
it brought up. When you said that, it made me feel that, okay, so in the hierarchy of who makes the decisions, who's considered the
Right.
son, so to speak,
Hmm.
because I'm sure you have those expectations as well.
Right.
Does
Right.
being a fat man also change being taken seriously in those spaces? Is, I think,
Right.
where
So
I'm
in
being curious.
yeah, in family, right? So I'm really grateful that I like my mom and dad, although they have been harsh to me as a kid, like, all the body shaming, and I tried to explain them and stuff, and they sort of, understood where I'm coming from. And I told, like, when they, do this, I used to go in the reverse track. They were like, okay, no, 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 he's going in the reverse track. So let's be, subtle about it and stuff. So when about decision making, right? So what I think is, my parents, like, treat my sister and me like very, very, like, equally in every decision. Like, they will, involve us. But this is our own family I'm talking about. But of course, the extended family, it's a different story. As a fat guy, I get some privilege. I'm a guy and I'm fat. I'm not, you know so I when imagine, like, me and my sister walking into and imagine, like, my sister is, like, not even fat. So we go to a family function, imagine, and there is this extended family. If, let's say, I get one or two comments, my sister probably would have got 20 comments, right? So in that way, I definitely have this privilege, being a guy in Indian society, at least. But yeah, I think, Pallavi, I think, yeah, this is
Yeah, there's this other thing, which is that you say you went in the other direction and they saw that and they understood it. It was the
right.
same for me. I mean, when my parents would tell me to eat only a certain thing, I would conform for a bit, but then I would go and steal food from the
Right.
fridge. Or,
Exactly.
I would refuse to exercise or things like that. But for me, that was seen as being stubborn. That was seen as being
Right.
selfish. That was seen as being, so the pressure to conform became even higher.
Hmm.
Or I was told that, fine, then we won't arrange your marriage. You just have to figure out your own person.
Right.
We're not going to do
Hmm.
anything that parents are supposed to do for their daughter in normal society. So I was disowned. I wasn't understood. I was
Oh my
disowned.
God.
That, in the
Hmm.
sense that, if you're going to be stubborn about this and you're not going to listen to us, we're just not going to do anything for you.
Right.
And it's only recently, when I moved back with my mother, and someone asked her a question about why I was given the master bedroom, and she says, well, I knew she was going to go away in any case. After all, and
Oh
this is
my
a,
God.
a woman who was very educated and who all my life has told me that I need to be super educated, financially independent, etc., etc. But clearly, that thinking was still there, that, beti parai dhan hoti hai, or, all of that stuff. So it's interesting to me that when it comes to, in your situation, and of course, I'm not saying this is generic, it's just bringing up these questions for me, that it is seen that, okay, you're going against, you're further, you're feeling isolated in a sense, and so,
Right.
they're not willing to push you further. But with me, it was like, fine, then we're abdicating responsibility. If you can't
Yeah.
conform to what we want you to be,
Right. Right. But
then we're not going to give you anything.
correct.
So,
Yeah, I do get what you're saying, and I think I have a milder version of that, I guess. So for example, so we went to this school trip, like, immediately as I graduated from BITS and I got a job. And that was a period when I didn't do anything. Like, I was just, like, different, had a different state of mind, and I was like binge eating and not having any, body movement. And and my parents tried a lot. Like they kept telling. I just didn't listen to them. We went to this Coorg trip one day, and we came back home, and we were looking at the pictures, right? And so my dad says, like, see in this picture, like your hand looks so bad, so huge, you know. That was his try at, making me feel bad so that I'll do something, right? And this has happened as a kid. And I think many fat kids relate to this. This is what body shaming is, right? When some outside person does, as a kid you might feel bad, uh, but as an adult you will, एक कान से सुनो एक कान से निकालो. But when your own family is saying, so immediately after that, I did almost 15 days. I clearly went to gym. I starved myself, which is so bad. But immediately after those 15 months, it was the reverse. I was stuffing myself. I just was relaxing. That is when they realized that, hurting might not help. So you do you. So I had this plan of, going for higher studies and stuff. So my parents were very like anxious about that, because if I'm not able to handle myself, how will I go and stay, far away from them? uh, so in the way that you told, right, that, they responsibilities, they give it to you. Like my dad told after some days that, if you're going on the same path, you don't come and ask me about helping in your decisions with higher education. You need to, if you only change, I'll help you. If not, you do on your own. I know it's a milder thing than what has happened to you, but when he actually told that, and later on, as I told, self-love, self-care, when I got to understand that, and I looked at workout as a wellness concept. I didn't go and, like, I didn't go to gym to just, lose weight. I did yoga so that my day will be better. I went and did dance because just it made me happy. Zumba, right? So I started Zumba classes and yoga. So it was a way to feel better. That's it. And that actually helped me. And like whenever I like to eat something, I eat. Whenever I don't like something, I don't. So it was not like the before case, right? So in one way, that sort of, of course it feels bad when your parents say this, like, if you go this path, we cannot help you, or you're out of our hands. My mother was also very in, because in between what to say, what not to say. But I guess in one way it helped. I don't know. Is that did I make sense?
Yes, yes, you did. You made sense. Look, your experiences are your experiences and they make sense. A lot of us don't end up fully processing things we've experienced sometimes till like one day before we die. So, and this will keep changing. At least in my experience, the way I've understood certain parts of my life and my childhood and the relationships, every 5, 6 years, it's like again. And I keep
Mm,
crying, and my therapist is like, "What do you think it finishes?"
yeah. Oh my God.
There's
You
no
talking.
syllabus.
Yeah.
Syllabus is endless. Just keep
Yeah.
going.
This really reminds me like of one point. Like, so when we were like a kid or in college, right? If someone trolls you, if you are not confident enough at that point, you don't say anything, right? You become numb, you become silent, basically. So I had many experiences like that. When I started to become confident, so there was this a sports meet going on at our university. So there's this like random jocks, fit guys from some other college who visited, and they came and like randomly they're like, bro, we are playing truth or dare. We were asked to come to you and ask your weight. So stuff like this randomly. I was
The
randomly walking,
fuck, man?
and
Too
I
much.
was I was shocked. But at that time, I was in a good, I was confident about myself. I told, yeah, yeah, I weigh 2 quintals, give or take 50 kgs. You can inform that. Something. I just, I didn't feel bad only. That immediately came. I didn't even think about it. That sassy reply just came. And the guys were like seeing like this. I left. But why I say this is, Amaya told this never finishes, right? After 2 or 3 years after this, so in like maybe 2 years back, when I thought I'm, working on myself and all that, and when things have changed, like with my family and stuff, where I could, say, no, 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 it's not like this, it's like this. So one day I was going to Goa and we were at this airport with my friends, and obviously they do all the checking and stuff. And when I went there, that guy who was checking me, he was like, भैया कितना बड़ा हो जाओगे, मुझे चेक करने में 1 घंटा लगेगा, कम हो जाओ. I was so confident about myself. I was going to Goa. I was ready to, be in the beach. Suddenly this hit me. I'm not kidding. I froze there. I didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
Even though I could have, and I would have probably, but I didn't. So this just goes to say what Ameya is saying. Like, you have your plus 50, minus 1,000, plus 100, something like that. Um, World hits you with so many things. You just need to move.
Society is a dick.
Yes, that's one.
Yeah, and then they wonder why, as a fat person, you have mental health issues. Like, why? Because, it's like, because you're in a minefield all the time. You don't know what is going to explode in your face.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like, oh, but look at you, so chubby, so roly-poly, you should be happy, laughing all the time. I'm like, ek chata na muh pe maro.
Yeah. Like,
And the funniest thing is that this is about basic human decency.
Right. Exactly.
You have a thin person who walks in with a scar on their face. You're not going to say, hey, where did you get that scar? Do you know how it ruins your whole,
Right.
You're not going to say that because you're being a basic, decent human being. But a fat person, chulo.
You can say whatever you want. So for this, so I have a really good friend and she also shares these experiences, and we get shocked like how much same trauma we have, I used to think only I do. So once I was explaining her how I think of it is like, let's say you're sitting in a public place, you're fat, and immediately they feel like, I actually had experiences when one auntie came and told like, Subha, put ajwain, crush it, put nimbu, drink up, and die. I'm like, auntie ji, आप घर में आपके पति को कुछ बोल नहीं सकते तो आके इधर जो है सबको बोल रहे हो. I feel like that they are suppressed in their own lives that they do this. But yeah, coming to the point, what I was thinking, the analogy, for example, might be controversial, I don't know. Let's say there's an alcoholic. You don't get to know by seeing them, right? So you go and do your own damn work. But let's say if an alcoholic is written an A on his forehead, or he or she, will you go to that alcoholic and say, hey sir, please stop drinking, na? Your life will be ruined. You won't say. Or for someone, example, who is failing his or her exams.
Smokers.
Smokers, for example. You won't go to a smoker and say, stop smoking, it will ruin you, right? Random one.
Actually, they do this tell you something. In some parts of the US. But
for my husband who was a functional alcoholic, I was told, पीता है तो क्या हुआ, fit तो है ना, he goes to the gym. And I was like, but you don't know the state of his liver.
Right.
How do you know that?
Correct.
All these people with X-ray vision.
Yeah, Ameya keeps telling, I also believe that there are so many of my friends who are really thin, but I feel I'm much flexible, healthier than them. I do yoga. So I know people who are just thin, but it doesn't equal to healthy. So my thing is just being from a visual aspect, being fat immediately, we are judged. You don't go to a person who is failing and in his exams, like, no, beta, if you won't study, you won't get job. You won't go and tell them unless an F is written. Even in my hypothetical case, even a fail F is written on their forehead, you won't go. You'll do your damn work, because there is no such thing as, I don't know, dumb phobia, but there is fat phobia. I guess.
Oh my God! I think you've just coined a term for Ameya keeps saying. For what Ameya keeps saying.
But
about how there's no tax on idiots or something like that. I don't like idiots, so
I can't handle stupid people. I can't handle stupid people. Unfortunately, the people are stupid, so like this is my life.
Oh, that is hilarious. But I think we have gone over the recording limit by quite an extent. So maybe we should ask you whether you have questions for us.
Right. So, one thing that I haven't discussed much, and you guys also share with it, you guys are also digital creators, right? You keep, you keep posting your content. So, my question is, so when I started to actually sort of started, creating content and stuff, I was called delusional. Like, I was told like, okay, you love yourself, you do this, that. But why are you creating content? Why do you want to keep yourself, public? Will you be able to handle the trolls? Like I was told that, but my inner feeling was, if I would have seen a fat plus sized guy wearing makeup or doing skincare or doing even dance openly and confidently on social media when I was in college in my first year, my college would have been different, at least the first 2 3 years, right? That is the only reason I keep making content now, right? So what is your drive? Like I want to know, like that keeps you moving to create content in a very toxic environment filled with trolls. What keeps you going? Because I really want to know.
So sweetly he asked us after we just started reposting after 2 months.
No. But you personally also post, right? Not just on
No,
that. So
no, I know,
you,
I know.
yeah.
I think the flippant answer is I like trolls as a snack. So I'm like, Aja, Aja, baby, Aja, Aja. But more honestly, it's really at least for me, it's very much the same thing. That somebody has to do it. Somebody has to say it. Otherwise, it'll
Right.
never be said, and it'll never be out there. And again, if I had gotten to see this when I was younger, my life would have been different.
Correct.
In fact, it's really funny because I never looked at any of this stuff online until Pallavi came to me and we started working on the podcast. I didn't even know about any of this shit, which is hilarious
Right.
because I'm a know-it-all and I know everything, and it's very irritating. But like it's literally the fact that I absolutely hate having to post on social media every day. I'm just like
Mm.
whine, complain, which is why you see Pallavi's posts are like she makes an effort, and I'm just like, here I'm in my
Right.
pajamas. I have things to say. Just listen.
Mm. I'll take this moment to say, like, I love Pallavi's Insta. Like, seriously, especially, those
Yes.
cozy venture looks that she does.
Oh,
Absolutely good. Yeah.
well, for
But what
me,
is your approach, Pallavi? Like, Ameya is like, she treats them as a snack. What about you?
no, that's true. She does. I mean, I really admire that. And I've learned so much from her about how she does not let them get under her skin.
Right.
And I think that's the right thing to do because, I mean, it's like Medusa's, head. I mean, you cut one
Hmm.
off and you have two others that grow. So it's
Yeah.
insane. And most of them, it's amazing. Most of them are people who are fat themselves. Most of them are people who
Oh
have
my
body
God.
issues themselves.
Hmm.
And they're the most vociferous, nasty of the lot.
In
And I think
yeah.
it's just exactly what you said, their own misery that they're projecting and being able to, like, if I can't do it, how dare you?
Yeah.
And don't you dare try to change my mind because I'm sacrificing food and this and that. And I've come to the conclusion that I'm a horrible failure of a person. So don't you dare try and be anything more than what I am,
Yeah. Like
being in the
just
same body, which is
yeah.
really sad. But more than that, Shrujan, I think for me, right from the beginning, it was very scary because when I
Same.
started this in 2014, I was all alone.
Right.
After meeting Maya, I've become a lot, I think, stronger.
Oh,
But
you
before that,
guys.
it's, but before that, it was scary. But I have this thing. First of all, my journey also started with self-love, reading Louise, etc., etc.
Great.
So there was already that core inner strength about, I have to do this for myself. And I think for me, it was that, listen, if I can shift my perspective, I don't, and if my speaking out loud about the fact that my perspective has changed can help another person, then it is worth it, you know?
Right.
And if we don't speak out, how can we expect anyone else to change?
Correct,
You know,
exactly. So
that's
yeah, when we struggled ourselves, so now when you're at least in your journey a little bit ahead, why don't you do that, right? Something like that.
yeah, which is what we're trying. But you know, it's
Yeah.
so funny you talk about my personal Instagram. There's this reel that got 2 million views.
Oh my
It was
God.
a silly reel that I made like in the middle of the night when I had to create content and put it out there.
Hmm.
I was about me in my wedding clothes saying that, you know, whatever, whatever. And at 24, my eyes look dead. At 24, on the happiest day of my life, my eyes look dead. And the
Hmm.
second part was at 42, living my best life, divorced and living my best life. What I was trying to
Yeah.
say was that when you love yourself from within, it doesn't matter what your age is, what your marital status is, etc., etc. You're just, what matters is that love within me. But the amount of trolling I got for having glorified divorce, apparently. I don't
Oh
know,
my
Maya, if you
God.
saw some of the comments there, but it wasn't just fat phobia. It wasn't just ki haan tu moti bhi ho gayi hai and all that, which I laughed off. But it was also a lot of, yeah, you must be happier with all the alimony you got. And you
Oof.
must be, yeah, and you are glorifying divorce. And women saying, you know, कि इसको देखो, आजकल
Hmm.
के ज़माने में it's a trend, it's a fashion now to get divorced and people are openly. Of course,
I
My
I
mean,
got a
God.
lot of people saying, well done, power to you, etc., etc. But
yeah.
I also got a lot of this.
No.
What, I mean,
So I didn't look because I'm very good at handling trolls who troll me. But if you go after my people, then I'm going to get pissed. And then I'll get
Hmm.
into like some flame war. And I'm like, no need, it's okay, walk away. Walk away. But this is, I mean, on a little bit of a tangent with this whole Ukraine situation. One of my friends who lives in Canada had to make this Noel comment about this phrase that they use. And it's like, oh my God, look, it's a Nazi. A Nazi greeting is trending. So I'm like, Nazi? So I went and I asked all the Ukrainians at work about it, and they're like, no, it's not Nazi, this is the history. And I pointed it out to her very politely. She's like, please, you're just complicating the issue. A Nazi battalion used it. And I'm like, okay, you don't want to talk about this, so I'm just going to leave you with your friends. And you can all sit there and tut about, oh, Nazis, Nazis. Bye. And I was so happy because I was like, "Argh." And I was like, no, that's not how we deal with trolls in this house. No, that's not how we
Right.
deal with trolls in this house. But the thing is, what I find is so fascinating about the way this whole thing boils down is that, first of all, it is how many of the people who suffer the most from this discrimination or who are the worst or most disenfranchised by it who step into the space. Like with the fatness, as you say, Pete, that people who have so much self-hate and like they're like, if I'm killing myself to be thin and that's the only way I can be happy and that's the only reason I'm accepting this misery I'm inflicting on myself, then how dare you say otherwise? But I feel like with the women and the divorce also, it's like the only thing you're ever told is that the only way you have a space or protection or honor or value in life as a woman is if you get married. So what you're saying is that I'm putting up with this dickhead and this shit life where I don't have anything for myself and I can be free?
hmm,
Impossible.
Right. So I think these points were the same thing, like, like just like, internalized homophobia, we have internalized fat phobia,
Yeah.
internalized
And
misogyny,
internalized
right?
misogyny, of course.
Yeah. So and all this over the top of like, I am miserable. So तुम भी miserable बनो मेरे साथ. I'll pull
Correct.
you also down. And why I asked this question is, as Pallavi was saying, she was when she started this journey, she was like, oh, I want to share it with the world. I'm now at that stage, but I'm really, really like, I'm being very honest. So I don't know how to deal with trolls because just now, I'm started creating content and stuff, because as you told, all fat people have some kind of mental illness because they have been through a lot of trauma. On top of this, if how are you gonna handle trolls? That I wanted to know. Yeah.
I mean, my advice to you would be if someone asks a question and they seem to be saying something genuine, engage with them once. If they're willing to listen
Right.
to you and have a real conversation, that's fine. But if they come
Yeah.
back with the same shit, laugh at them. Don't leave the comment unanswered. Laugh at them. Just be
Oh,
like, ah, you're so
I was about
sad.
to I
Just
was
laugh
about
at
to say,
them.
should I block? But okay, I'll
You can block and all. But my
yeah.
point is, don't leave it unresponded to, because when you leave those things unresponded to, beyond the point. I'm not like every comment every time, of course. But my
Right.
general strategy with the troll is when a troll is being really annoying, I'm like, okay, sweetie, whatever you think is right. Bye. I have grown up things to do now. You go cry.
Right.
And that is the most, because basically, why are they there to troll you? Because they're out there. I am important. My views are important. Give me importance, but give me your attention. Now, if I don't give you your attention, you tell yourself that I won because this person's a loser, then I'm right. If I
Right.
give you my attention and try to change your mind, you're like, aha, I'm getting my attention. See you, stupid person. So the best thing to do is just laugh at this person and be like, "Ja bhad mein, tujhe kya pata?"
Right.
And
You know, like,
see, understand this. Trolls are brilliant for your Instagram statistics. They
oh
actually
God, so
help your
good.
account.
This is a
So,
really, yeah, I think this point, yeah, they give engagement, right?
yes, so I feel very grateful for all the trolls on my account. I have learned from Ameya, engage with them once if you think what they're saying is relevant. But when the second time they say something and I don't want to engage with them, I still respond and say thank you for your opinion and leave it at that.
Correct.
So, of
Right.
course, you can laugh at them, laugh
Mm.
with them, whatever, or you can
Right.
just say thank you for your opinion. Depends on the energy you have.
And
Right.
the energy they're bringing as well.
Yeah.
Because there are those
Correct.
people who will just be like, you don't know what you're doing, you fat crazy bitch. My mother
Yeah.
died of obesity. To which I'll be like, obesity is not a disease you can die of. Sorry for
Yeah.
your mother's loss.
Yeah.
When you're
Yeah.
ready to use your brain, come back. We can talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Like that.
best is the ones who will tag their 5 friends so that those 5 friends will also laugh at you.
Yeah. 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 Those
Because
I
they
think
will.
are.
And your post just goes zoom. And I'm like,
Like this,
thank
I
you.
realized with one of our doctor reels, because that thing has like almost 200K views, which for our thing was like, what the fuck? And then I realized some Tamil meme Instagram account had featured it and mocked us, and somebody, and these people were having these flame wars with each other about how these women are so stupid. And I'm like, hi, 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 please keep coming, keep coming. Come, trolls, come,
Engagement.
trolls.
Yay,
No, and it's
engagement.
lovely because some people will troll you and other people will shame those trolls, and it's all happening while you are oblivious and sleeping at night. So it's quite cool.
Yeah.
And it's also
Yeah.
beautiful because you will see people stand up for you. And the thing is, in your real life, when you face real life trolls, you probably didn't have someone stand up for you. And that's a
Right.
really beautiful moment when somebody
Hmm.
who doesn't know you at all
Hmm.
will step in there and be like, you can't talk to her like that. And it's
Hmm.
like,
Yeah.
maybe
I
I
have
do have a little value.
Oh.
I have one last question, if that's okay.
Do it. It may
Yeah.
not make it to the
Yeah.
final cut, but
Yeah.
go ahead.
So I really want to talk about this because, body positivity, it became, it boomed on Instagram, right? Like we are talking about digital content creation and stuff. So, of course, because of the, demands that women are put through, there are a lot of women body positive influencers and content creators, right? But there are, I hardly find any, male body positivity influencers or content creators as such, like who at least you don't need to talk about body positivity or body neutrality also. It's just there aren't many fat guy content creators. So from my perspective, what I think is the same thing that I was thinking. Like if you're talking being fat and not conforming to the society's man, macho gender stereotype, and if you're talking about it, you will be trolled. So why take the risk and not doing? That is my opinion. That's why many people are not doing. So what do you guys think? Like in your journey, or have you come across? Like have you thought about this point? Because it's actually a big enigma for me. Like because even guys in India are fat. Is it like a like the consumer thing, or what is it like? I want to really know.
Teacher, I'll answer, teacher.
Yes, please. Waiting.
It's our two good friends, capitalism and patriarchy. Say hi, guys.
Okay.
Because you see, because of the way patriarchy is set up, if you are a fat man, it is not that you don't experience fat phobia and rejection and trauma and all of those things, right? But as you yourself have pointed out, it's a fraction of what a fat woman experiences. Because a
Right.
woman's only value in patriarchal society lies in her body, her ability to be faithful to the man who fills her up with babies. That is all she's for. Great. And so the pressure on women is so much harder. It is impossible to not try and break it. collectively at some point. Whereas with fat men, there are many things. You can still be a big guy. You can still
Right.
be like a teddy bear. I love hugging a teddy bear guy like you. You can still be somebody who is, if you're tall and fat, you're still somebody who's very menacing and scary, and you're asserting physical power and menace over other people, which is very valuable again, right? So there's a lot of that space which is not as bad. It's not, I mean, I'm not saying it's not bad once
Yeah.
again, right?
Right.
But the extent of pressure, because this
Correct.
is the only way you can contribute to a patriarchal society. As a man, you can still contribute by being an investment banker, by making a lot of money, by having
Right.
like writing great
Yeah.
opinion columns.
Yeah. I was saying, right, like by being a good student, like that was
Yeah,
one example.
or being smart. Like as a woman, if you're smart, that's also worse because you're like,
Mm.
you're not even pretty. You don't serve that purpose. Upar se, you think you're smart. You think you're
Mm.
smarter than me. I am a man. I am the smart. This is the story of my life. So anyway, so that's the first part. And the second part is body positivity as a movement has really taken off because capitalism loves it. It's just another
Right.
way to make
Marketing.
more ads and more beautiful things. But who are the people who buy off of these platforms and buy all these products? It's women. So the focus is again towards women. Some truly, honestly inclusive spaces, like, models of diversity and stuff like that, they do feature fat men and stuff like that when they do their pictures. But given the pressure on image is so hard on women, the counter is always going to be focused
Yes.
much more on
Agreed.
women. And that's my thesis.
Correct. I do agree. I totally agree to everything Amaya said. But one thing is, uh, one point, like, the what happens is it manifests internally, I guess, even in guys. Of course, it's just a fraction of it. They won't talk about it. It will go into other things like, binge eating and stuff like
So,
that.
Srujan,
Yeah. Yeah.
be it. What you're
Mm,
not finding there, be
mm.
it. You are
Right.
it. You
Yes.
are the fat man who's a content creator,
Right.
influencer, etc. You, it may be small right now, but keep at it. Just
Right.
keep at it. Keep being
Thank you.
you. Keep doing you. It is fun. I do enjoy watching your reels, and it's one of the reasons
Thank
I'm
you.
motivated to dance and do dance reels myself.
Yeah. Oh
You're
my God.
really good. And so
Thank you.
just keep doing it, but do it knowing that you are being that which you're missing on social media.
Correct.
And
Correct.
Yeah.
don't worry about how long it takes. If you have a low day, talk to us. We will try.
Yay.
Really, if you
Uh,
ever have a day where you're like, I don't want to do
oh,
Instagram,
oh
I
my
will sit
God.
and cry with you. Don't
Yes,
worry.
but do
You
it.
guys are like my, elder sisters now.
Yay!
Uh,
Thank you so much, Rujan, for coming, for sharing your experience with us, for engaging and letting us push you and ask all those questions. Thanks so much for coming on the
Thanks a
podcast.
lot, guys.
Thank
The pleasure is
you.
all mine.
Oh boy.
We would never have ended.
I swear. Actually, we kind of might have gone on for 20 minutes after we stopped recording.
That is also true.
God, but that was really sweet. Yeah, it was really nice to hear that perspective on it. But I have to also say that nothing was surprising about it to me.
It wasn't surprising. It just really brought home the difference in genders in the way we're
Yeah,
treated.
yeah,
It's sort of, I think it's always been there as an external experience. Yes, I know men are treated this way. Yes, I know these expectations are on men, etc. But I think for me, and I'm not sure it's completely processed as yet, I am going to take time about this, but this understanding that, oh my God, we are so different and we're treated so differently. And,
yeah.
that whole added layer is just,
I mean, it's like we had a hypothesis and we tested it and we found that it actually does seem to work. Of
yeah,
course, there are many other intersections that make it better or worse, etc., etc., etc.
yeah,
Let's not forget that. But I just thought it was a really beautiful conversation in the sense that I really like that he's taken a lot of time and effort to engage with himself and
yeah,
sort of make this change start to happen. And so I was like really
yeah.
glad to
And the
hear that.
whole male fat liberation world seems to be a lonelier space
So much more lonely,
somehow.
yeah.
Yeah. And, but I'm so flattered, Mia, the number of I mean, he's really studied our podcast. I'm so flattered.
I know,
By
guys.
the
He
way, he
told
kept
Pallavi.
referring.
He said, Pallavi, that thing you do, and Pallavi's like, what thing? What thing? What thing? So now we have to find out what the thing is that Pallavi does in every episode. Write in if you have any idea.
Yeah,
Anyway, okay,
what
chalo.
fun.
This has been fun, but also long. So I think it's time to wrap up. Yeah.
Yes. And as you all know, you can find us on Fatso Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Gmail, Substack, and Medium. We have a website, www.fatsopodcast.com. This is spelled FATSOPODCAST. Our music was recorded by Anant, original photographs by Suraj. We need him to come back. And the editing is done by, drumroll, Ameya herself.
Woo! I wonder if I could edit a drum roll in. All right, this has gone on too long. Goodbye.
Bye.